Hello, Grace Point Church. Pastor Mike here. And I just want to ask a question for fun today for Mike and Five. Do you believe in miracles? If not, why not? If so, how so? Do you believe in miracles? And actually, what is a miracle even? How would you define what a miracle is? And how would you know if a miracle is happening to you versus just maybe something extraordinary? Or how would you know if miracles weren't ever happening in anyone at any time? I will admit that naturally, just as a person, I tend towards skepticism. And, I feel like I've heard some crazy stories that turned out to be crazy and they were lies. I've heard of, a few different types of those stories where supposedly a miracle happened, but then it was all faked or it was half true and half a lie. And so I've heard so many ones that weren't true, I think, and that's probably part of the reason I'm just naturally skeptical on the whole idea, just as a person. And if I can't see it or if I'm not sure, I don't know if I can believe it, sort of a thing. I don't know if that's how you are, but have you ever thought about that? Like, are miracles real? What sort of miracles are possible and what sort of miracles aren't possible? Um, Over the last probably 20 years, I've actually found that to be an intriguing question, and I've found a couple books that I've been able to read that have kind of helped me think about it. I just wanted to share a couple resources with you. Some of my favorite on this subject. This one is called Miracles by C.S. Lewis. And it's a whole book where he tries to figure out the validity of miracles within history. He acknowledges, he says, I'm not a historian, but here's just some preliminary thoughts about what's the likelihood, is it reasonable to believe that in the midst of a world of all of these laws of operations, things can go different sometimes because of God. C.S. Lewis, he's just an enjoyable read, so I really enjoyed him. This one I really like. It's by John Lennox, called Miracles is Belief in the Supernatural Irrational. One of the reasons I like it is because look how small it is. It's like 50 pages. He's a professor at Oxford in mathematics, but he's written a short little thing on the rationality of believing in miracles. Like, are you a crazy person if you do believe in miracles? How could we think about that? I really enjoyed that. That's a really quick read. Takes you, an hour or two, and that's it. This one you guys might have heard of Lee Strobel. He was this journalist, and he likes to ask interesting questions and then interview others. This one's called The Case for Miracles. This guy obviously believes in miracles. A journalist investigates evidence for the supernatural. His are pretty engaging. There's lots of different viewpoints in this one. That was really enjoyable to read. This one, most of you are not going to be so nerdy, but for some of us, we thought it was great. Miracles, The Credibility of the New Testament Accounts by Craig Keener. Craig Keener is famous for just leaving no stone unturned. This guy, he just goes to every, ancient document ever and is extremely researched in what he does. But he's written a couple one in volume. This is only volume 1 on the credibility of the New Testament accounts. Like, is it justified for us to think that the miracles that we read about in the Bible could have actually happened in the real world that they're referring to? This is a whole book. It's 500 pages showing that it is reasonable and it is credible. And it's kind of from an academic, scholarly perspective, but that's a fun one as well. One of the reasons I ask, do you believe in miracles, is because that's going to be the title of our sermon on Sunday. And I think the Bible is another really good book to go to consider whether or not miracles are real or are possible, especially in the book of Acts. We're going to be finishing chapter 5 this week, at Acts chapter 5. And I've titled the message, "Do You Believe in Miracles?" because the next few chapters of Acts are going to get us thinking about miracles and whether or not miracles are real and whether or not they were really happening in their day. They're going to help us to think about whether or not they can happen in our day. Lots of scholarly debates about that sort of thing, but I'd love for you just to start thinking about it because I'm thinking about it, and I think the book of Acts is going to increasingly challenge us to think about what a miracle is and how God works in the world and what purpose they might have, even for normal Christians. If miracles are real and if God does like to do them in and through and around us, why? And should we be expecting them today? All important questions. I'm giving you no answers today, but I'm just asking the fun questions with you, kind of as sermon prep. If you want to prepare yourself, check out Acts chapter 5. We're going to start in verse 13. Where Pastor Stephen ended last week, and then we're just going to go to the end of the chapter. Check it out. See if you can locate any miracles in this passage. Start thinking about what you believe, what you've experienced in your life, and on Sunday we're going to be able to get some answers.